In the crowded, dusty streets of Ajigana village, a boy named Emeka lived in a small zinc-roofed house with his father. His father, a gentleman with tired eyes, was a tailor known across the village for patching clothes with the same care a sculptor would use on marble. Emeka, the only son, helped after school, cutting fabric, threading needles, and running errands. Life was simple, but not easy. Emeka often sat under a large mango tree near the main road once the day's work was done. It was his thinking spot, where he dreamed of a life beyond patches and poverty. But lately, his dreams had a name. A face. A voice. Zara. Zara, daughter of Chief Adewale, was unlike anyone he'd ever seen. Her presence came with the hum of engines and the scent of foreign perfumes. Her father owned estates, fleets of cars, and political influence. When she visited Ajigana with her father to supervise the foundation of a luxury estate, the whole village gathered like ants to sugar. That was the day Emeka saw her. She had stepped out of a sleek black SUV wearing a flowing white gown and gold sandals. Her long braids shimmered in the sun. People bowed and greeted her with, "Welcome, princess," but Zora's eyes briefly met Emeka's. Just a second. Just enough to plant a seed in the boy's heart. From that day, he could not forget her. He told no one. Not even his father. But he worked harder than ever. He stopped spending money on soft drinks or second-hand football boots. Every kobo he earned went into a box under his bed. Not for a car. Not for Zora's hand. But for his growth. One night, while threading a needle by candlelight, he whispered, maybe one day I'll be enough." But he didn't know the journey had already begun. The rainy season had just begun in Ajigana. Potholes were swallowing parts of the road, and the villagers moved about carefully, balancing baskets of tomatoes and jerrycans like trained acrobats. Emeka had just finished helping his father mend a torn border when thunder cracked the sky. A drizzle began to fall, and he rushed to gather the clothes hanging outside the shop. That's when he heard it, the strange coughing of an expensive car engine. Everyone turned. The sleek black SUV rolled to a sudden halt just across from the tailor shop. The driver stepped out, shaking his head and cursing the rain. From the back seat, Zara emerged with an umbrella, looking just as flawless as the day Emeka had first seen her. She stood by the road, clearly irritated, her phone held high, trying to find signal. Chief Adewale was not with her. Emeka's heart pounded. This was the moment. But fear whispered, "Stay back. She's too far above you." Still, something stronger, hope, maybe, pushed him forward. "Excuse me," he said, voice steady. "May I take a look?" The driver scoffed. "This is not a bicycle, oh. It's a V8 engine." But Zara raised her hand. "Let him try." She remembered him. Emeka knelt by the bonnet, asked for a wrench, and began to walk in the rain. Minutes passed. Then the engine roared back to life. The driver blinked. Zara smiled. "You fixed it," she said. Emeka wiped his hands. "I fix things." There was silence. The rain softened. Her eyes lingered on him, not with pity, but with curiosity. "What's your name?" "Emeka," he replied. "And you already know mine," she teased. He didn't laugh. He didn't know how to. Before she left, she reached into her bag and handed him something. He expected money. It was a book, one of her favorites. "I think you like this," she said, then stepped back into the car. As the SUV drove away, Emeka stood frozen, the book pressed to his chest like treasure. That night, under the flickering candlelight, he read the first line. "Sometimes, the world notices those who dare to step forward." He smiled. She noticed. Days passed. Then weeks. And like the gentle breeze that carries the scent of ripe mangoes, Zara began to return, quietly, secretly. Not in fancy SUVs anymore, but in plain cars. Dressed simply. No makeup. Just herself. She said it was to check on the estate construction. But Emeka knew better. And so did she. Their meetings happened under the mango tree, the one beside Emeka's father's workshop. In the evening, when the village quieted and the sky turned orange, they would sit on the wooden bench, barely touching, just talking. He told her about his mother, who died when he was 9. She told him about the loneliness of wealth, the weight of expectations, the pressure to be perfect, to marry someone with a last name that could move politics. They were from different worlds, yet each conversation drew them closer. Zara laughed at Emeka's dry jokes, and Emeka discovered he could make a girl like her smile without spending a single naira. He shared his dreams of starting his own building company, of designing homes for people who had none. Zara listened like no one ever had. But one evening, she came looking worried. Her words were slow. "My father is starting to suspect." Emeka's heart sank. "If he finds out I've been here, with you, I don't know what he'll do." They sat in silence for a long while. Then she reached into her bag and pulled out another book, this one with a golden bookmark. "I want you to have this," she said. "It's called The Man Who Built His Own Name. It reminded me of you." Emeka took it, his hands trembling. Not because of the gift, but because of the truth settling in his soul. He was falling in love. And so was she. But in the shadows of that mango tree, love blossomed like a flower in a storm. Beautiful. Fragrant. But fragile. Because soon, the wind would blow, and when it did, it wouldn't just test the strength of their love. It would test everything. Chief Adewale was not a man used to being disobeyed. In business, his word was final. In politics, his silence caused ripples. and in his household, his authority was law. So when whispers reached him that his daughter, Zora, had been seen multiple times in Ajugono speaking with a tailor's son, he didn't shout. He summoned. One morning, as Zora descended the grand staircase for breakfast, she found her father waiting at the dining table, eyes cold behind gold-rimmed glasses. "Sit." She sat. "I heard something disturbing," he said. "That you've been spending time with a boy who fixes trousers." She opened her mouth, but he raised a hand. "I raised you to be many things, graceful, intelligent, respected. Not foolish." Zara swallowed hard. "He's not just a tailor's son." "Oh," the chief's voice dripped with disdain. "Did he tell you he's a prince in disguise? Or that his love will pay your bride price? He's honest, hardworking. He sees me, not my name." Chief Adewale's eyes narrowed. "Let me tell you a story," he said. "When I was young, I loved a girl from the village. She was sweet, poor, and beautiful. But I let her go because love cannot carry responsibility. Power marries power, Zara. That's the world we live in." Zara looked away. "Maybe I don't want that world." Silence. Then he delivered his final blow. "If you see him again, you'll no longer be my daughter." Her breath caught. Tears welled in her eyes, but she blinked them away. She stood up, her voice soft but firm. "Then you raised a daughter who's not afraid of truth." And she left the room. That evening, under the mango tree, Zara came to Emeka with heavy steps. She told him everything. He was quiet for a long time. Then he asked, "Do you regret meeting me?" "No," she whispered. "I regret not meeting you sooner." He held her hand, for the first time. They knew the storm had begun. The world would rise against them. But right now, beneath the mango tree, it was still. Their love had drawn a line in the sand. And neither of them was stepping back. The days after Chief Adewale's warning were heavy with tension. Zara stopped coming to the mango tree. Emeka waited, every evening, for hours. But all he saw were birds returning to their nests and the shadows growing longer. He didn't blame her. How could he? She had a world to lose. He had nothing. Still, the silence cut deeper than any insult. It was the kind of silence that dared him to give up. But Emeka had never been one to quit. One afternoon, he walked a long dusty road to the city. He didn't tell his father. He only packed the book Zora had given him and all the money he had saved over the years. He found work as an apprentice to a builder, sweeping floors, carrying sand, mixing cement. The foreman mocked his quiet nature. The laborers laughed at his soft hands. But Emeka didn't care. He worked from dawn to dusk, learning by watching, failing, learning again. And every night, with sore muscles and blistered feet, he would sit under a broken street lamp and read the book Zora gave him. The man who built his own name. It became his blueprint. Meanwhile, Zara lived like a prisoner in her own mansion. Her phone was taken. She was sent abroad for a break, but she knew it was exile, a way to erase the village boy from her heart. Her days were filled with banquets and staged introductions to suitable men. But none of them smiled like Emeka. None of them saw her, not really. One night, unable to sleep, she scribbled in her journal, "I love him. But what if love isn't enough?" 2 years passed. Emeka became more than an apprentice. He rose quickly. The construction company noticed his ideas, his discipline, his leadership. They trusted him with designs, then with projects. When he finally returned to Ajigona, it wasn't with a plastic bag or torn slippers. It was with blueprints. Blueprints for low-cost housing he wanted to build, for families like his, for children like him. For dignity. As he walked past the mango tree, older now, stronger, he whispered, "Maybe love isn't enough, but love gave me the reason to become enough." And this time, he wouldn't just wait for Zara. He would go to her.
The mansion stood exactly as Emeka remembered, tall, white, polished like marble pride. Guards with sunglasses watched silently from behind black gates. Exotic flowers lined the driveway, and somewhere inside, he knew she was there. Zara. He hadn't seen her in 2 years, but he hadn't come empty-handed. Dressed in a clean native outfit he sewed himself, holding a folder of building plans and a firm resolve, Emeka approached the gate. "I'm here to see Chief Adewale," he told the guards. They laughed. "You again?" But Emeka didn't flinch. "Tell him Emeka Nwosu is here, with a proposal." One of them rolled his eyes and went inside. Minutes later, the chief himself stepped out. His hair had more grey now, but his presence was just as fierce. He walked to the gate slowly, arms crossed. "You came back," he said. "I did," Emeka replied. "Still chasing dreams, tailor's son." "No, sir," Emeka said calmly. "I'm here because I have built them." He opened the folder, blueprints, sketches, development proposals, affordable homes, solid designs, a bold plan to transform the outer villages. Chief Adewale's brows lifted. "You are offering me business? I'm offering you legacy." There was silence. Then a smirk tugged at the old man's mouth. "You think this will make me give you my daughter?" Emeka heard his gaze. "I don't expect that. I came to show you the man I have become. The man she saw in me long before I saw it myself." The chief studied him quietly. Then, without a word, he turned and walked back into the mansion. Just when Emeka thought he would be ignored again, Zara stepped out onto the balcony. Their eyes met. She gasped, dropping the book she was holding. It was the same one she had once given him. He didn't smile, neither did she. But everything they had ever felt spoke louder than words. The guard stepped back and opened the gate. And in that moment, Emeka knew he hadn't just walked to the mansion, he had walked into destiny. The mansion's living room was silent as Emeka sat across from Chief Adewale. The tension was thick, broken only by the ticking of an antique clock on the wall. Zara stood by the side, her heart pounding, not from fear, but from the weight of everything that could happen next. Chief Adewale leaned back in his chair, eyes fixed on Emeka. "You've grown," he said at last, "not just in years, in stature, in presence. I see now. That boy by the mango tree is gone." Emeka nodded once, "But he built the man I am today." The chief paused. "I have only one daughter. I have protected her since she was born. I gave her everything, and I will not hand her over to a man who doesn't understand what it means to carry another person's life on his back." "I understand," Emeka said. "Do you?" Chief Adewale narrowed his eyes. "Then prove it." "There is a failing estate project I own on the edge of town. 5 contractors have tried and failed to complete it. Too costly, too risky, too forgotten." He slid a file across the table. "Take it, finish it, make it profitable. Do that and come back here, not as a dreamer, but as a builder of futures." Zara stepped forward. "Daddy, this isn't fair." The chief raised a hand, firm but calm. "This is not punishment, it's permission with responsibility." He turned back to Emeka. "You want to marry my daughter? Then bring me more than words. Bring me success that's not built on her pity, but your own power." Emeka stood and picked up the file. "Challenge accepted, sir." He looked at Zara and whispered, "I will return." And then he left, with a storm in his heart and a fire in his soul. That night, under the stars, Zara wrote in her journal, "He doesn't just love me, he's fighting for me." And Emeka, in a small rented room with the file open on the table, whispered to himself, "This is not just a test, it's the key to forever." The estate was a ghost town. Half-built structures stood like skeletons under the hot sun. Weeds had crept through concrete. Rusty tools lay forgotten. Contractors had left. Investors had withdrawn. And rumor had it the land was cursed. But Emeka saw something else. He saw promise. He spent the first week walking the entire site, day and night, studying every crack, every blueprint. He talked to former laborers, tracked down the old engineers, and took notes. Then he called in favors, friends from apprentice days, contacts he made at the construction firm, even suppliers who once laughed at his broke days. This time, they listened. Why? Because Emeka had learned their respect. He poured in all his savings, took risks, even slept in one of the unfinished buildings. By the second month, the site began to change. Walls rose, machines returned, hope returned. But it wasn't easy. One day, rain poured without mercy, flooding the cement mix and washing away an entire foundation. Another day, a group of thugs sent by jealous rivals destroyed newly laid blocks. Still, Emeka stood firm. He didn't just build with his hands, he built with vision. Each evening, He would send Zara photos of progress, of bruises, of victories. She would reply with prayers, encouragement, and sometimes just a single word, proud. Meanwhile, Chief Adewale watched from a distance. Investors began calling. Newspapers took notice. Young architects revived abandoned estate. By the 6th month, the first 10 homes were completed. By the 8th, 50 families moved in. By the 12th, the project turned profitable. And on the day the ribbon was cut, Emeka wore the same native outfit he had the day he walked to the mansion gate. But this time, he wasn't just a visitor. He was the man who built the future from dust. And when he turned to see Zara walking towards him, glowing in a simple red dress, their eyes met. No need for words. The journey was no longer about rich or poor. It was about becoming worthy of each other. It was sunset in Ajegunle. The mango tree stood just as it had for years, steady, wise, silent. It had watched Emeka grow from a poor tailor's son into a man who turned failure into fortune. It had listened to whispered dreams, stolen laughter, and silent prayers. Now, it was time for it to witness something more. Emeka had asked Zara to meet him there one last time. She arrived wearing a simple Ankara gown and flat sandals, no security, no makeup. Just Zara, the girl who once gave him a book instead of money. The one who had believed when it made no sense. Under that tree, she saw a small wooden bench with petals scattered on it, and beside it, Emeka stood, nervous but ready. They sat together in silence at first, just listening to the gaze of the breeze. "Do you remember?" Emeka began softly. "The first time you gave me this." He pulled out the withered book, The Man Who Built His Own Name. Zara smiled, tears forming. "You told me I would like it. You were wrong," he said. Her brows lifted. "I didn't like it. I lived it." She laughed quietly, covering her mouth. Then he turned to her, serious now. "I used to think I needed riches to earn you, but the truth is, I needed purpose. I needed to become the kind of man who would never dim your light, only protect it." He got down on one knee, trembling silently. From his pocket, he pulled out a small ring, not flashy, but handcrafted, made with gold from the very project he had completed. "Zara Adewale, you were the light I followed through the storm. I didn't come with a palace, but I offer my heart, my future, and my fight. Will you marry me?" Tears slipped down her cheeks as she nodded. "Yes, yes, Emeka." He slid the ring onto her finger as villagers peeped from afar, some already clapping, others weeping silently. Under the mango tree, where everything had begun, their love was sealed, not by status, not by wealth, but by the journey that forged them into one. The village of Ajegunle had never seen anything like it. Colorful canopies lined the dusty streets, drums beat joyfully, and the aroma of jollof rice, suya and moi moi filled the air. Women wore gele that touched the sky, and children ran barefoot with flowers in their hands. But all eyes were on the groom, Emeka, dressed in a richly embroidered agbada he made himself, standing tall with pride, not born of riches, but of honor. And then came the bride. Zara stepped out of a decorated car, her gown blending tradition and grace. No diamonds, no tiara, just coral beads, a glowing smile, and the eyes of a woman who had chosen love over luxury, faith over fear. Chief Adewale watched silently from the front row. He had fought this love, denied it, tested it, but now he was the one fighting back tears. The officiating elder said, "This is not just a marriage of a man and woman. This is the joining of two worlds, a reminder that true wealth is not what we have, but what we become." Vows were exchanged, hands were held, and under the warm African sky, Emeka kissed the woman who had once been a dream, now his wife. Later that night, at the reception, the crowd roared when Zara took the mic. "Today," she said, "I didn't marry the richest man in Nigeria. I married the man who built his life with just his bare hands and still had space in it for me." And Emeka, holding her close, whispered, "You were never out of my league. You were just ahead, waiting for me to catch up." They danced, laughed, cried. And as the stars filled the sky, the mango tree stood tall in the distance, its leaves whispering a silent blessing over a love that defied limits, shattered boundaries, and proved one simple truth: real love builds, and when it does, it lasts forever.